and welcome to the next episode of It's Your Time to Shine, a podcast about being a mom in a modern world. My name is Jaspreet Kaur, and I recently learned that November is Family Caregivers Month. You know, I've never really thought about this, but as I've gotten older and gotten to know more people that are battling illness or living in complex family situations, it really sheds light on how important family caregivers can be. Not just in my own family, but also in the families of friends. Caregivers put so much of their physical and mental energy into the world for the greater good. I'm learning, along with our listeners, that the opportunity to listen to their stories is an incredible gift. But what happens when a caregiver is the one who needs help and support? That's something that my co-host Lisa and her friend Dia White discussed last week, and I am so eager to share the conversation with you, not only because it sheds light on what it's like to be a mom or a parent that is suffering from illness, but also because we need more stories like hers that show what honest, transparent, and compassionate parenting looks like.
Today, we have a special guest in my little closet studio, good friend of mine, one of my bestest friends, Dia White. Hi, Dia.
Hi, it's good to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Do you like my clothes?
I'm really enjoying looking at all the stuff I'm going to borrow and wear later. So if I leave and my suitcase is a little bit heavier, you'll know why.
You know, my sister shops here too. I should really start charging.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? This looks like a sauna in here, too, with the cedar walls.
The cedar walls, you noticed. Let's tell our listeners why we have you here. So, Dia, first, let me start with my friendship with Dia. Dia and I met about 12 years ago?
Yeah, about 12 years ago, 2006, 2007?
Yeah, 2007. I remember because I was going through something, so I remember. But we met on a plane. And how many people can say that a friendship actually, starts on a plane? We talk to people on the plane, and planes can be very intense just because you're on a journey and most of us are thinking if I crash, this is the last person I'm talking to. I don't know, but there's something very intense about a plane. But when you get off, it's like you're back to reality. But somehow we managed to stay friends.
Yes, we did. It's kind of impossible not to remain friends with you, Lisa.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Plus, you kind of stalked me afterwards. No, just kidding.
I totally did. I mean, not only was she awesome, personality, but she is a looker. And those eyes. Anyway, so Dia is one of my best friends. She's my soul sister. We have been through so much together, so much. And she's a fellow mom. She has 4 kids.
Yes, I call them my 3 bonus kids. I don't like the term step kids. So I have Soleil. She's my biological baby. I say baby, but she's 7. And I have 3 bonus kids now. So yeah, we have a.
And how old are they?
So my youngest now, he is 4, Nolan. And then there's Soleil and Emmy. They're both 7. They're only actually 6 days apart. So it's like I have twins.
That's amazing that she got not only a sister, but within days apart, the exact same age.
Yes. It's like having a twin sister. And then Morgan is 11. So I have an awesome little preteen who keeps me young and hip with the new dance moves that she teaches me all the time.
She's a dancer, right?
Oh, yeah. She's a really, really good dancer.
Tell us about your husband a little bit.
My husband's name is Justin, and he's a Georgia boy. I never thought I would end up living in the South or staying in the South, but after hearing his sweet Southern drawl, I'm like, oh my goodness, is that Matthew McConaughey on the other line? We met on eHarmony, so.
So eHarmony does work. It didn't work for me, but it worked for you. I'm glad.
It worked for us, yep.
Well, one of the reasons, besides being a fellow mom, Dia is just amazing. Her insight, she's always been one of my big go-tos. You and Jaspreet. And whom we are missing today. Yeah. I wish Jess could be here.
I wish she could too.
I know. It's hard to coordinate. Yeah, when did you meet Jaspreet? You met her pretty quickly after we met, right?
Yeah, she came out to one of your parties your epic parties used to have at the apartment building you used to live in.
Yes.
She was like the social butterfly.
I know that when I introduced her to people, everyone was going to like her.
Yes,
See, Jess, we gave you a plug.
Yes. You're someone that cannot be replaced, just like Lisa.
Well, it's funny because I'm actually thinking a lot about her, even though we're never really in this closet together, we record separately. But because I'm in the closet talking to her. Or I'm talking
Lisa's
to her.
in the closet.
One of these days I'll get out.
We're going to come out together eventually in probably 5 minutes.
Oh, so you reciprocate? Finally.
Those eyes, you got me.
So, but Dia is just amazing all around. She is an educator. She taught 3rd grade and 5th grade for 13 years. She's a cancer warrior, as we like to call it. She's been through a lot. And I mean, having to already manage so much when you're diagnosed with cancer, I can't imagine. She's the strongest person I know. And a lot of people say that. It's a very cliche, you're the strongest. I'm like, no, you guys haven't met Dia White. She is the, capital T-H-E, strongest person I know. And you're going to know exactly why by the end of this podcast. Let's start with when you were first diagnosed with cancer. How you told your children.
Yeah, that's actually still very vivid. A very vivid memory. I mean, feels like it was just yesterday, but it was on June 1st, 2018. I remember that because it was 2 days before my husband and I were about to celebrate our very first anniversary. So we were technically still newlyweds. And I got the phone call. We were at home. All the kids were there. And we were playing. And then I got a phone call from my doctor. And he told me it was cancer, and it was a rare cancer called a sarcoma, Ewing's sarcoma. It's usually diagnosed just in children. So about 5 to 10% of the time it is diagnosed in adults.
I remember all of that, and you were so sure, the doctor was so sure that it was not cancer. And
yeah,
what a shock that was. I mean, for you, your family, and your friends.
Yeah, that was really hard. When I got the phone call, I'm sorry, I was just getting choked up because I remembered that. It just all came back in just a flash of memory and emotion. But when I got the phone call, the doctor who did my surgery and did the biopsy on my eye, he's the one who called. And he told me it was cancer, and it was this rare cancer, and that I needed to go to MD Anderson in Houston right away because they know how to treat this particular sarcoma. I got off the phone. My husband and I just hugged each other and cried. And I remember the kids walked in because they were playing, and we always play as a family. So they were wondering where we were because we kind of, we were out of the room for a while. And they come into our room and they busted right in. And at first, Justin was like, going to shut the door. But I think this is the thing that's helped me explain to them and demonstrate to them how we as a family are going to respond to this and get through this, is that I let them in. I said, no, come on in and let them witness this moment as a family, because, it's real emotion when you get tragic news. And I think for children, sometimes we are afraid to expose them to tragedy and what we see as adult emotion. But obviously we don't want them to know certain details that can make them scared, but we wanted them to see that this is something that we were going to get through together. And so by doing that, let them come in, see that we're upset. They asked why we were upset. And I told them, I said, I have this thing called cancer. You can't get it. And I remember telling them that right away because a lot of kids don't understand that.
Right.
And so I told them, you can't get it, that, I might look different. My hair's going to fall out and I'm going to look different, and I might be really tired. I'm not going to be able to play as much like this. And I don't know how long I'll be at home. I might be traveling a lot. And so just know that this is something we're going to get through, and I'll be okay. And I love you. And, and they just started crying, and I hugged them, and we just all had this like family bonding moment, So I think that keeping it honest and letting them react to real events that are happening, that are impacting them and impacting their life, and as a family, you need to make sure that you recognize that emotions are normal, especially responding to cancer.
Yeah. With your bonus children, okay, they have their dad, they went back to their mom. They mostly live with their mom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Soleil, your daughter, you had to figure out what to do.
I mentioned before we were about to celebrate our first anniversary. We had already intended on...
Oh, and how old was Soleil?
Soleil was finishing kindergarten, so she was about to start first grade.
Oh, wow.
I got diagnosed in May, which was at the end of her kindergarten year. And I remember having my eye patch after my surgery on my eye, and I watched her graduate from kindergarten. I remember that. But yeah, she was about to start a new school. I was selling my house, that I had when I met my husband, and I had been commuting from my house in Huntsville, Alabama to Mentone, Alabama. And my husband and I bought a small, a cabin in Mentone as a temporary, what we thought was going to be a temporary house. And eventually we were going to rent it and rent it to people who were coming to Mentone, like touristy people. And we were going to buy a house out there. And that just didn't play out. I mean, cancer changed everything. But I had my house already on the market. So I had certain things in play already. I feel like God put that in play for me so I wouldn't have that stress to sell my house. I'd already had it on the market. And then I found out I had cancer. And 2 weeks later, my house sold. So that was taken off my plate. And we moved all my stuff into storage, a lot of my stuff into storage. It wouldn't fit in the cabin. My husband went busy fixing up the house because it really wasn't a permanent type home. Yeah. It needed new siding and flooring and all that. And this was all right around when I got diagnosed. And Soleil, my daughter, she ended up staying in Huntsville with my mom, her grandma, for her.
It was just the most convenient and logical thing to do at that point so that she would have less of a change during.
Yes, I did. There were so many changes already. Even if I didn't have cancer, we were moving. She was going to a new school. She had just, adopted or absorbed this new family. Yeah. So there were a lot of changes for her already. I didn't want her to have to deal with me having cancer and being away and also have to go to a new school. So she stayed with my mom in Huntsville and did her entire first grade year living with my mom. But they came out to Texas a lot, and her school was awesome. They allowed me to teach her.
Wow. Yeah, because you're a teacher.
Yes.
But that whole year, as a parent, it's not easy for any one of us. I mean, I have a hard time being apart from Allie for a few hours. So I can't imagine being apart from your daughter for a year during cancer treatment. Also not knowing what's going to happen. It's not like, oh, well, we're apart for a year and then we'll be reunited and everything's business as usual. I don't know. Right. I might never have that time. Mm-hmm. I just want to know what was going through your mind.
Well, technology has changed the world in so many ways. And without technology, this would have been so much more difficult. But we FaceTimed every day. Mm-hmm. So every day she got to see me. And when my husband had our bonus kids at the Mentone house, we would FaceTime them so they could see my progress. And I remember when Soleil saw me, when I first had shaved my head, when my hair started falling out after my first treatment. And then Nolan saw me. He's 4, so it was hilarious. He was 3 at the time. He's like, "You're bald! Tia's bald!" So I just laughed it off.
Kids say, just say the truth.
Yes.
They're not weird. They're not awkward. Just straight up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So the way I responded to, having to be away from them and knowing I was going to be away that long was I really used technology to give them whatever comfort I could so they could see me, they could hear me. Yeah. If I was having a bad day, I would tell them, Mommy's tired, I'm having a bad day. Yeah. And allow them to, I didn't tell them everything that was happening, but I let them know that, this is how the treatment's affecting Mommy, so that they could understand if I was tired or, sometimes the chemo would make me really sick. I would let them know it was affecting me and maybe allow them to a little glimpse into what I was going through so that we could feel connected. Because I didn't want it to be this thing where I went away, almost like back in the olden days when they would send the pregnant teenagers off to a special place and then they came back and they have a baby and it's like, what? Huh? And so or they didn't because they put them up for adoption or whatever. But I wanted them to see that being sick is a natural part of life, that we can face it together, that we can stay in touch, that they can see through the FaceTime videos and just everyday messaging and keeping in touch, they can see the progress and the process and see that this is something that we can face and get through. And I did it a lot with laughter too. Just, trying to keep silly thing like videos we made together.
I think the keys for you are laughter and faith.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You're a woman of faith.
Yes.
And you truly walk the walk. You posted a lot. You were very open about your cancer on social media. And every day, obviously we were texting and calling all the time. Allie went and saw, as a matter of fact, when Allie saw you with hair right now, she's like, who's that?
I know we had to go back and show her pictures of me bald and be like, remember? That's what I look like.
Her Dia Masi. Masi in our language is like sister. It's like aunt for your sister. So Allie calls her Dia Masi, just like she calls just Jussie Masi.
Yeah, it was awesome when you guys came out to Texas. And
it was just an honor to be a caretaker for a week for you. And I got lucky. We didn't plan it that way, but I happened to be week 3 caretaker. Mm-hmm. And week 3 is the she can drink wine week.
Yes, that's the fun week. She'd always plan, wait, when? I want to come visit you, but when's your week 3? And Rhea did the same thing. Rhea wanted to know. Rhea and Kim came out. When's your week 3? We're coming on a week 3.
I just know I didn't know that much about cancer until obviously being one of your best friends, watching you go through this journey. So I was saying about your faith. Tell us about that. That faith really carried you because many people, we can say, whatever, all those quotes, the sun shines, it's beautiful, blah, blah. Obviously, all these. I'm not making fun of quotes. I'm just saying a lot of people say a lot of quotes, but when things happen and S hits the fan, they're like, oh my God, my life sucks. Every day your posts were about having faith. No matter how dark your days were, you still believed. You still believed. And even your doctor said that that's one of the reasons you were very successful and you were able to take some of the strongest chemo.
I guess for me, I've had some pretty trying times and not like any, just like everybody else, I've had trying times in my life. And I guess beginning from the time I was in college, I've really realized how important it is for me to have a relationship with God and to have it be my own and not, worry about what someone's telling me it should be, how I should pray or when I should pray or where should I go to do this. I really just tried to hone this relationship starting in college when I was going through some really tough times. And post-college, I had a huge engagement, like double life thing.
That's a whole other podcast. That was a story you told me on the plane.
You should do a podcast on double lives, surviving a double life.
How do I say this really quickly? Because Dia's a very good storyteller, and I'm a very to-the-point storyteller. So I'm going to to-the-point this right now, that story. Basically, she was engaged, and the guy was living a double life.
Yeah. Yes.
But the way she found out, that could be a film. I should make that film, actually.
We should.
The way, your story.
Yes.
That we were on a plane. You were reading a book about connections.
Yeah.
I just remember, right? You were reading a book, and I was like, what's that? Dia was like, I don't know if Dia really wanted me to sit next to her. Because I was in a really bad mood because I was really upset because they just changed my seat. And I was sitting in the back of the plane, and I didn't want to sit by the bathroom. So I made my voice clear because I'm Lisa, and I'll say stuff. So I was very loud. I was with another friend. So I did have someone listening to me, I think. And then I saw Dia, and she's just like looking. She looked over at me, and you smiled.
Yes, I thought you were hilarious. Because I was thinking the same thing. I didn't want to be right next to the bathroom either. And the seat was empty next to me, so I couldn't say anything to anyone. And then you said exactly what I was thinking.
You just have filters because you're an adult. Your prefrontal cortex was developed, and mine wasn't. Mine still isn't. But anyway, we went back to the plane for some reason, but she had quite a story.
Yes.
So that's a whole other story about college.
That was really a really, really hard time. But what got me through it was praying and staying faithful that even, this broken engagement, he was my high school best friend, my high school boy best friend. And then we were college sweethearts and we moved in together right after college. And I thought we were going to get married and have kids and live, happily ever after. So that was really, really hard. But I stayed very faithful. And my grandma, we call her Lola in Philippines.
That's so cute. I love that, Lola.
Yep, my Lola. And I used to think her name was
Oh,
Lola.
God, I love that. When Allie is a kid, can she call me Lola? Can that kid call me Lola?
Yes, of
I like
course.
that name. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Lola is how you say grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And my Lola used to always just say, pray, Tia, pray. Like she always sounded like E.T. She had this cute, like scratchy voice. She's like, pray, Tia, you just pray. So and when I was younger, I thought she was quickly would say that as advice. And I thought, how am I supposed to just pray? I don't know what she means by that. But when I got older and I saw that my faith and praying more and feeling like I was like wrapped with that prayer, even if, you can't tangibly see something come true or you can't tangibly see some result of your prayers like right away, even knowing that prayer is out there in the universe.
Yeah.
I would visualize that prayer like encircling me. Mm-hmm. And that's something that got me through that time and then got me through some other really difficult times, like with my ex-husband.
You have a whole other layer now because you were in Texas, you're getting cancer treatment. Soleil's with your mom, but she doesn't really have a full-time daddy or a daddy that you can count on.
No, alcoholism is a horrible disease. Horrible disease.
How did you get through that?
That was really, really hard. I mean, at first, it was hard because of his alcoholism, he still doesn't show up for his supervised visits and would just cancel or just not even come. And Soleil already had attachment issues from me being away. And I think she really struggled. And so I got her into counseling. I'm a huge advocate for counseling.
I think if the whole world, every single person went to therapy, we'd live in a better world. It's like a verbal journal. That's what I always called it. But yeah, I'm glad that she did that.
Yeah, I noticed that she was struggling a lot with feeling abandoned, me being away. Yeah. She just started asking me a lot whenever I would talk to her, are you coming back? What if you don't come back? She was doing a lot of what ifs. And I know that it was amplified because her dad was also kind of in and out of the picture. So I definitely made sure to get her some therapy and support her in that way. And I'm big on open communication.
Yeah, no, open communication is huge, just in anything. I'm all about, I don't think there should be a behind the scenes when it comes to parenting, for the most part. Obviously, you use your judgment with certain things.
Open communication has always been something that, I think is so important. And especially as a mom, I want Soleil and, my bonus kids also to know that if you're feeling something, you need to talk about it. If you keep it in, it's going to make it worse. And with Soleil, with her dad being in and out of the picture and often not showing up, she was starting to feel insecure. And I could tell that. And so I would say to her, hey, if you're upset and you're sad or you're angry, tell him. And so the next time he called, I handed her the phone and she said, you did not come. That made me so sad, Daddy.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you gave her permission to be able to do that.
Yeah. And because like I said earlier, sometimes as adults, we think that there's an adult realm, there's an adult emotion, there's adult conversations that you need to completely exclude your kids from. And in a lot of ways, yes, there are some things you do. You need to protect them from those things. But if the kid is already feeling that angst and they get thrown into these adult situations that they never asked for, her having to deal with alcoholism, I want her to be able to verbalize how she feels and empower her with being able to be angry at your parent sometimes. You need to be able to. It's important to allow our kids to sometimes be angry, things that we do, to be able to react to that. And when her dad wasn't showing up or he wouldn't call, she was starting to hold that in, her anger. So, to let her know, hey, if you're upset and he didn't come and you wanted to spend time with Daddy, tell him how you feel. And so I would let her, and now if he doesn't come, she will on her own say, can I call Daddy? And I give her the phone and she calls him and she has this conversation with him and tells him exactly how she feels. And it's helped him, I think, because he can no longer just allow me to make excuses, or he can't make excuses. He knows that she's smart enough now. She knows what's going on. And
I love that because it's not just for her dad to be able to fend for herself, to not be a pushover, because she's used to now voicing how she feels.
I just worked really, really hard while I was in Texas to give her a lot of attention, to let her know she can speak her mind if she's upset with her daddy or with any issue. So I really think she's come through as a stronger kid because of this.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the things she has seen way more in her 7 years than most children.
Yeah. And you know, I protect her from his issues as much as I can, but when he doesn't come, she started to put two and two together. And so, you know, it's good that she understands it's nothing she's done. And it's not her fault.
And that's the important thing, that it's not her.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So being away was really hard, but just keeping in touch, looking out for her emotionally as much as I could, getting her the therapy that I was able to give her, and keeping her involved in sports and things like that just helped her still be a kid.
Yeah. And you're also good at anticipating emotions. Like your EQ is like as high as it gets, okay? But you anticipate what she might be feeling and come up with a plan to tackle that.
Right. It's almost like choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
It's almost like those books, Choose Your Own Adventure, where, you know, if this is what the reaction is, turn to page 147.
Oh, we love those books. What would you do? Because I really need Allie to just think sometimes.
Yes.
And she always knows the right answer. Do you kick and scream? Or do you tell them politely, that was not very nice? She goes, I tell them politely, that was not very nice. And then in real life, she'll kick and scream. So it's fun. Anyway, but yeah, those books, exactly. It's like those books.
Yes.
What do we call it? Anticipation parenting. Like you just know an emotion that your child's going to have, and you just kind of start to plan out, what is it that I can do to, I don't know about saying prevent that, but at least make it easier when she feels that emotion.
Yes, it's like a preemptive reaction. Having a plan for this case, worst case, best case, middle scenario, you know, having everything in your head just sort of played out already so that you yourself know how to deal with a potential problem if it comes.
And meanwhile, through all this, you're going through chemo. You're going through week 2. I still, like, honestly, I don't know how.
Yeah, week 1 is when you are infused. So it's 24-hour infusions. I'd wear a chemo backpack, and I had 3 chemos that were really harsh chemos. And then I had radiation. But week 2 is your low week. You can't be around people. You're like bubble boy. You can die from just a common cold. It was hard.
I think you once told me that most people who died during treatment, it's not the cancer, it's the treatment.
Yes, it's, you know, a huge percentage of people who have cancer who are going through treatment, it's the treatment that kills you, because you don't know how your body's going to react. It's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's like you got to do chemo because you got to kill the tumor, but if you do chemo, it's also putting you at risk of developing all these secondary, risk factors.
Yeah, I had a Dia chemo calendar. I always knew your week 2, and I pretty much stalked you to a point where I was like, she's probably really annoyed at me, because I'd be like, okay, so blah, blah. I'm like, I know you probably have a lot going on, but I just want you to know I'm thinking about you, blah, blah. But I was literally at some point, even Samir's like, aren't you like a little like, you're stalking her?
Yeah. No. And see, the fact that you kept up and that you would text me and give me that encouragement, it did so much for for me to use that as more an example of faith and how positive energy and prayer and just visualizing yourself being encircled by this love. When people say, oh, you're so strong, and I know you said that earlier, or you're so amazing, I don't feel like I could be amazing without people like you in my life, without faith, without people having faith in me. You know what I mean? I don't take credit. I don't take full credit.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't.
You are not going to throw credit my way. I am not taking credit for this, okay? I am not taking, no. You're not going to do that to me.
Well,
but can I honestly tell you I said this once to you. People will say, oh, you're strong, and you are strong, 100%. But one of the key to me, one of your greatest strengths is you showed your vulnerability too. And you're okay when people are there for you. So many people have too much pride. I think I might too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie because I'm used to people come to me. So it's hard for me to show that vulnerability. I try to work on that, but you allow people to be there for you. That to me is strength.
Yeah, definitely. Going through cancer, you have to allow people to be there for you. Being a mom, you have to allow people to be there for you. I think just any situation in life, any situation that is difficult, any situation that could bring you down, you need to recognize that and say, you know what, that saying it takes a village is not just a saying. I don't think we were meant to do this life alone. And, we need to build our village of people that love us, that support us. I read some place that you need to have someone that's smarter than you. You need to have someone that is a mentor so that you can be challenged and you look up to that person. You need someone maybe going through something so you can be a mentor.
Oh, I've never heard that. That's cool.
Yeah, because, the different people in your life represent or should represent like the struggles that just life throws at you.
And someone who doesn't think like you so that you, like you said, not even smart, just who doesn't think like you. Like not to have people around you who believe the same thing.
I think that's I could go on anher tangent with that, with political stuff, but I think so many people just surround themselves by people they're comfortable with. But it's really only they're comfortable in this certain zone, and
exactly.
And so you never branch out and you never grow.
Exactly. And I think I say this to Samir a lot, that if I look back last year and I can't say I've grown, then I failed as a human. I should be able to look back and say, oh, wow, I wouldn't do that this year because I've grown.
Yeah, definitely.
Or I did something right last year. And now I'm not. So wait. But either way, that's growth.
Yeah. Well, to kind of expound upon what you were talking about, being vulnerable and allowing my vulnerability to come out, I really didn't feel like I had much of a choice in the sense that you're just totally stripped of everything when you are doing chemo. Your hair falls out, your body doesn't look the same, you're not sleeping, so you're delusional sometimes. You're on all these medications and you feel like, you know what, if I just sit around and think how horrible this is, I'm gonna drive myself crazy. So I'm gonna embrace it and be like, you know what, this is the new me. This is me still, but I'm growing as a person by embracing it and saying, when I would post things, talk about my journey, I would always preface it with, this is something I know I'm going to get through.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to grow from this, whether or not it meant I was going to survive. I didn't say that in my posts, but in my head and my heart, I would say, every day I'm going to learn something new, and every day is a blessing. And every single gift that I'm given by having this breath of life and being able to have these beautiful kids, it didn't matter, I recognized the blessings I had. So I didn't think of it like, I'm not going to get through this and I'm going to pass away or anything like that. I thought of it as I'm going to get through this because that's all we do in life is we have to keep getting through it. If we dwell on the things we can't control and we dwell on the worst case scenario on page 154 of your Choose Your Own Adventure, you know what I mean? Then we're constantly reinforcing a negative energy. And I think we need to just stay as positive as we can and know even if I did pass away, hey, I stayed positive. And by staying positive, I was able to see the blessings I would have missed.
And this is why you're an inspiration. I think not one person would disagree after hearing you. So I
hope.
And this is why you are where you are. So you're where you're at in your treatment. So let's talk about that. How are you doing today? And what does Dr. Hottie have to say?
Dr. Hot Talk.
Oh my God, her doctor, so hot. Is he ever going to listen? I don't care if he listens to this. I don't care. My husband's going to hear this.
I already told him you said hi.
I mean, I went with her to her I went with you when he was telling you how you're doing. That was a big visit. I remember that. Ali was there as well. And actually, I was distracted because I was not on that day at all. And even Dia was surprised. Like, what happened? I was like, I got nervous.
It was the quietest I've ever seen Lisa.
I was a little nervous, though, because Ali was acting up or she hadn't slept that well. Okay, that's my excuse. I just wasn't on that day. Fine. Dr. Hottie doesn't think I'm hilarious. Anyway.
No, it's because you were just smitten.
She told me he's a hot Indian doctor. And I was like, whatever. How hot can he be? And I'm like, I saw him. I was like, oh my God, like hazel eyes, right? Like, but he was so, and he was funny, and he was like asking me questions. So, and I'm like, with her. But I was also nervous because that was the day you were getting your PET scan results, right? Did I say that right? PET scan, yeah, your PET scan results. So now that we're done talking about Dr. Hottie, what does he have to say where you are, and what's next for you?
Well, he feels like my case is just really promising. You know, I was able to sustain some pretty crazy doses of chemo. I didn't know. He didn't tell me this until later, which is probably good. But he's like, I pushed you a little more to get you some extra rounds because you were responding just amazingly and just doing better than we thought. Because with adults, our bodies it's just harder for our cells to recover.
Well, I think a lot of it's your faith and the fact that your heart is so open. I really do.
Well, I thank you. I definitely feel like that has also been a huge difference in my life.
You're definitely. So
I'm doing a lot better. I'm back home now. I go back every 3 months to get scanned, just to stay on top of whether or not, if anything else develops, so I can get treatment again right away.
And your 6 month came in?
My 6 month came in clear scans.
Yay!
Yep, and actually, I'm doing my 9 month.
One of these. Not because of Dr. Hottie, because you don't want to be there for my friend.
Well, the February scan will be my 1 year scan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that'll be a really big
Justin
milestone.
Goes with you every time,
yes,
right? That's awesome.
My husband's a teacher like me. I'm not working now because of some side effects and all, but he does get time off and he comes out with me and, just such a big support. And I had so many caretakers that came out. I just really feel like
because we all love you.
That love helped me so much.
All right. Well, Dia, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I got to talk to you. And our kids are like going crazy downstairs now. The movie's over. So Soleil, her daughter, like Allie's like smitten by Soleil. And Soleil's kind of like, oh, you're cute, but okay. You're copying everything I'm doing. So, and we have to feed them because they're constantly hungry.
I know. They're little piggies today.
Of course, they didn't eat their lunch. Anyway, we could go.
Yeah, that's another.
But thank you. I'm so glad you're here. For the whole week, we still have the next few days. So It's a Dia week over here.
Yay. And I'm just so thankful I could be here with you guys.
I think it's important for our listeners to know your story, and thank you for sharing it.
Well, I'm just humbled that I could be here, and you're part of my journey, and I know everybody that's been a part of mine, has blessed me in a way that my heart could explode.
Well, I love you, and I'm going to give you a hug. Sure. Oh.
I totally agree, and thank you both so much for taking the time to do this. I wish I could have been there with you in person, but I'm so grateful to have been able to listen to it. And to our listeners, we'd love to know your thoughts. Share your feedback and comments on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We love getting your direct messages and emails. And as always, thanks for listening.